Good morning, students. In the previous lecture, we discussed about our electron transfer effects. We discussed total 3 electron transfer effects in the previous lecture. The first one was resonance effect. After that, we discussed about electromagnetic effect, and after that, we discussed about hyperconjugation. Okay. Before that, we discussed about the inductive effect. So all these 4 effects will be useful in standard 12 as well as in the next chapter of the 11th. But before we use that type of reactions, that type of electron transfer in the mechanism, we have to know that how many types of organic reactions are there. There are total 4 types of organic reactions present in our syllabus. The first organic reaction is substitution reaction. Substitution means exchange. We have to exchange some of the part of the molecule with each other. For example, I have CH3Br, bromomethane CH3Br. I am reacting bromomethane with KOH. So CH3Br with KOH. What will happen? OH and Br will exchange each other. Now CH3Br, instead of, it will become CH3OH. So CH3Br becomes CH3OH. And KOH becomes KBr. That is known as a substitution reaction, exchange of the particular electrophile or nucleophile. Next one is addition reaction. What is addition reaction? It is very simple. Suppose we have unsaturated hydrocarbon, in the sense double bonded compound or triple bonded compound. We are adding hydrogen to it. So pi bond will be broken and one hydrogen will be correspondent on the carbon. So alkene becomes alkane and alkyne becomes alkane. Means we are adding hydrogen, hydrogenation. If we are adding chlorine, chlorination. If we are adding bromine, bromination. If we are adding water, hydration. These all are addition reaction because we are adding something to our molecule. Next type is elimination, totally opposite of addition reaction. In the addition reaction, we were adding something into our molecule. In elimination reaction, we are eliminating something from our reaction, our molecule. We are removing something from our molecule. For example, on the first carbon, hydrogen is there, I am removing hydrogen. On the second carbon, there is OH, I am removing OH. So hydrogen and OH makes H2O. So H2O is removed from the molecule. That's why that is known as a dehydration reaction. If I am removing hydrogen, dehydrogenation. If I am removing chlorine, dechlorination, dehalogenation. These all are elimination reactions. After that, rearrangement reaction. Suppose our molecule have some bonds which are unstable. So our molecule will rearrange itself. For example, there is a double bond on the first 2 carbon and OH on the third carbon. Then it will rearrange itself. Likewise, hydrogen of the OH will be on the second carbon and double bond will be shifted on the carbon oxygen bond. That is known as a rearrangement reaction, and rearrangement reaction is one type of isomerism. Which isomerism? I told you, tautomerism. So this is one type of tautomerism, rearrangement reaction. So these 4 type of reactions will be there in our organic chemistry in 11th and 12th. and in this reaction we are going to use our inductive effect, resonance effect, then electromagnetic effect and hyperconjugation in further studies. Our next big important topic is about the methods of purification of organic compound. Methods of purification for organic compounds. How we can purify our organic compound? Because we are obtaining our organic compound from the raw materials, so there will be other impurities and we have to remove that impurities to make it pure up to 100%. So first method to purify our organic compound is sublimation. First of all, on which basis we are going to purify our compound? On the which basis? The first base will be solubility. Second base will be melting point and boiling point. And third point will be its density. Solubility, melting point, boiling point and its density. These three different physical properties are going to be useful for the purification methods of organic compound. In the first method, we are doing sublimation. What is the sublimation? Which reaction is known as a sublimation? It is quite simple. If any compound is solid, after heating that compound is bypassing liquid state and directly converting into the gaseous state, then that type of reactions will be known as a sublimation reaction. For example, camphor. If we heat camphor, it will be directly converted into gaseous form. So if I want to purify camphor, what will I do? In one beaker I have a camphor, I will heat that beaker with the camphor and camphor will be sublimized and impurities will be there in the beaker. Now that sublimized camphor, gaseous camphor will be transferred on the another beaker and I will condense or I will cool it down. After that, that camphor will be solid again and more pure than previous method, previous state. So by this method, by this sublimation, we can purify our solid compound which are going to directly convert into gaseous state. Our next method is crystallization. Now what is crystallization? It is very common practice to purify organic compounds, solid organic compounds. Most of the solid organic compounds are going to be purified by crystallization. Most of the solid organic compounds are going to purify by crystallization method. How? Okay, let's take a look in our kitchen. Suppose we are making chashni. Okay, how can we make chashni? I am taking one particular vessel and I am pouring water into that. After that, I am adding sugar to it. After adding sugar and continuously stirring, water will be dissolved in the sugar will be dissolved into the water. I am adding more sugar, I am adding more sugar. At some time, water will decline to dissolve more sugar. So that amount of sugar will be solid. That becomes saturated sugar solution. More sugar cannot be dissolved into the water. But what if I heat that vessel? So I am going to heat that vessel and adding more sugar. Sugar will dissolve into the water. More amount of sugar will dissolve in water when we increase the temperature. We know that if we increase the temperature, solubility will increase. Clear? So after that, I am taking that vessel and I am putting it into the freezer. When I put it into the freezer, it will cool down and temperature will decrease. So the more amount of sugar which was dissolved into the water will recrystallize as a solid form, and I will obtain more pure sugar form. Means impurity of the sugar is removed and more pure crystal of sugar is obtained. I will obtain that crystals from that liquid. Now our mother liquid is containing sugar, so we can heat it and we can boil more amount of water, and when we cool it down again, we will again obtain more amount of sugar. So this is known as a crystallization. Suppose there is a difference in solubility between two solvents. If I add water, if I have organic compound into organic substance, and after that I am dissolving that into the water, solubility difference will make that compound crystallize. That's why crystallization occurs on the basis of solubility difference. When this difference is low, we have to do crystallization again and again. So that was crystallization. After that, our next purification method is distillation. We come to know the word distillation more often because we use word distilled water. What is distilled water? I have water, I am heating it, and water vapor is on the top of the vessel. Then that water vapor is taken into another vessel, and when we cool it down, that water vapor will become distilled water because impurities will be removed. It will be on the first vessel. Impurities will be on the first vessel. That's why water will be more pure. Because of that, we called it distilled water. What we have done? We boiled the water and water becomes more pure when the vapor form is condensed again into the another vessel. That is called distillation. But how can we use that concept into our particular organic compound? So first of all, there is total 4 type of distillations. First one is common distillation. After that, fractional distillation, distillation under reduced pressure, and steam distillation. Total 4 type of distillations are there. Now, first distillation is common distillation, regular distillation. Suppose in the laboratory, accidentally I mixed 2 substances, chloroform and aniline. Both of them are liquid. Aniline and chloroform, both of them are liquid. So first of all, distillation processes can be used for liquid organic compounds. Distillation can be used for liquid organic compounds. So I have a mixture of chloroform and aniline. Now, what is the difference in the physical appearance of chloroform and aniline? There is a large difference in its melting point. Look at this. Chloroform has its melting point near 334 Kelvin, whereas aniline has its melting point near 457 Kelvin. That's why, because of the difference in melting point, when we heat this mixture, chloroform will be vaporized first and aniline will remain into our vessel. Let's take a look at the whole procedure. Suppose here we have a mixture of chloroform and aniline. First of all, let's discuss about this diagram. I do not have draw any type of stands, tripod or wire gauze because it will complicate the diagram. They are present into your textbook, so refer that. But I have drawn only useful things over here. Now in this mixture we have chloroform and aniline. When we heat it, this is the thermometer present into our vessel. I have cut it down so that we can see it clearly. It is dipped into our solution. So when thermometer shows temperature more than 334, chloroform will be vaporized and it will come down into another beaker. Vaporized chloroform will come down into another beaker and aniline will remain over here. Now this is called condenser. This is plugged into your water tap, where we can open it and water will come from here, and this is into the sink. So water will go down into the sink. So water comes in, water goes out from here. So cold water will run all over this pipe. This glass pipe do not come into the interaction with water. Water do not can enter into the glass pipe. It is around the glass pipe, so that glass pipe will be cooled down and chloroform vapor will also cool down, and when it comes into the another vessel it becomes liquid, and chloroform will be in the liquid state. That's why it is liquid state, liquid substance, which will be the chloroform, and aniline will remain over here. It is known as a common distillation, used for two liquid substance which have more difference in melting point. More difference in melting point. Now fractional distillation. Okay, we already know this word, fractional distillation. What is fractional distillation? It is quite simple. We studied into standard 10th about crude oil and petroleum. We had a very large tower. Into that tower we were distillating our petroleum or crude oil. First of all, we heat our petroleum so that whole substance will be into the vaporized form. Petroleum vapor. Okay, first of all, petroleum contains what? Petrol, diesel, naphtha, kerosene, damper. These all things will be there into our petroleum crude oil. First of all, we are going to heat it so it will become vaporized foam. When vaporized foam will come from here, the compound which have more boiling point will cool down over here and it will be separated as a liquid form. Other vapor substance will go upside, another substance will be cooled down over here, next more boiling point. After that, less than this one will liquidized over here, less than this one will be liquidized over here, and less than this one will be liquefied over here. So turn wise this are going to happen, and after that natural gas will be removed from here. This is called bubble plate column. In reality there will be more than hundreds of bubble plate into the fractional distillation column. So that was for more than two substance. What can we do if we have only two substance which have less difference in melting point? Fractional distillation is useful when there is a less difference in melting point, and common distillation will be used when there is a more difference in melting point. So fractional distillation can be carried out in this diagram again, but there is only one difference. This particular simple packed column will be placed into the round bottom flask. This round bottom flask has one more pipe, one more column called simple packed column, and into that simple packed column I have thermometer. Same procedure. What happens? Okay, I have two substance, I am heating it. The substance will vaporize simultaneously. Both of the substance will vaporize, and from round bottom flask it will enter into the simple packed column. Here I have glass beads, small round glasses, small round glass balls, you can say that. When both of the substance vapor come here, the substance which have more boiling point will be liquidized because it will take time to travel because of glass balls. So substance which have more boiling point will be on the downward because it will liquefied. After that, the substance which have more boiling point will go down the glass pipe into the water condenser and into the liquid state. So that was fractional distillation. Okay, I have done some mistakes over here. It is not a melting point, it is boiling point. Now let's talk about distillation under reduced pressure. Okay, let's take a look at the definition of boiling point. What is boiling point? First of all, we have to know what is boiling point. So into common words, we know that when any substance which is liquid starts to boil, that temperature will be known as a boiling point. We know that, but that is half truth, in the sense it is miscalculated definition of boiling point. What is original definition of boiling point? At a temperature which atmospheric pressure and vapor pressure of the substance becomes equal is known as a boiling point. When outside pressure and inside pressure and outside pressure becomes equal, substance starts to boil, and that temperature is known as a boiling point. Let's take an example. Suppose we are standing on a sea level earth and I am boiling my water. It will take 100 degrees Celsius. Now I am on the Himalaya, top of the Himalaya, where air is very much lighter than the surface. So their atmosphere has less pressure compared to the sea level. That's why water will boil at a very much less temperature than the surface. Why? Because there is atmospheric pressure is less, and it can match inside the vessel pressure very easily. That's why on the top of the Himalaya, water will boil at a very less temperature, whereas on the surface it will take 100 degrees Celsius. Likewise, I am going to use that concept over here. First of all, when we are going to use this method, suppose we have glycerine. It have very high boiling point. Glycerine have very high boiling point. When we heat it up to its boiling point, it will be decomposed, and glycerine will be some another substance which is not acceptable, because we need glycerine as our final product after the purification. So the substance which are going to decompose before it reach to its boiling point, for that type of substance we are going to use distillation under reduced pressure. What we are going to do, I am reducing pressure inside the vessel by using vacuum pump. I am using vacuum pump so that the pressure of the system will be less. When I heat this compound, what will happen? This particular situation will boil at very less temperature because pressure is reduced, outside pressure is reduced, so that inside pressure, vapor pressure will becomes equal to the outside pressure, and so that our glycerol will boil at a very less temperature compared to its boiling point, and vaporized glycerol will come over here. We condense it and liquid glycerol will be here. Manometer for the measurement of the pressure. So that was distillation under reduced pressure. Now let's discuss about our last distillation, steam distillation. Another concept like this one. We are going to use water steam to distillation. But when we can use water steam? When our substance is insoluble in water, we can use this method. Suppose aniline. Aniline cannot be mixed with water because both are insoluble in each other. So we can use aniline for this type of distillation. What we are doing in this distillation? I have two different burners, two different round bottom flasks. On the first round bottom flask, I have water. I am heating it and creating steam. That steam comes into the another round bottom flask which have our compound which is going to be distilled. So water vapor comes into this compound as a bubble form, and that water vapor will catch the molecules of our aniline, our compound. And because of water pressure, our vapor pressure of the aniline will also increase. In the sense, if pressure of steam is S and pressure of aniline is A, we are adding pressure of the steam so that aniline can boil at very much less temperature than its boiling point. So its boiling points becomes less and it starts to boil because we are adding pressure from the steam. Here we reduced outside pressure, here we increase inside pressure by steam. So now steam with aniline molecule comes into the condenser and it will liquidized over here. Now aniline and water are insoluble in each other, so two different layers will be there. One layer will be of water and another layer will be of distilled liquid, or you can say aniline. From here we can separate both of them easily. So that was all about distillation. Again, total 4 type of distillations are there: common distillation, fractional distillation, distillation under reduced pressure, and steam distillation. Our next common method for the purification of organic compound is differential extraction. It is one of the steps. From this step we have to do distillation after that, or crystallization, depends. Okay, we have two different layers. One is water and one is our organic solvent. One is water, one is our organic solvent. What is happening over here? First of all, our substance was dissolved into the water. So aqueous layer plus our organic compound before we start distillation, differential extraction. After some amount of time, our organic compound will dissolve into the solvent layer, into our organic solvent. So after some time, after the differential extraction, our organic compound will be into the solvent layer. Not all of them, most of them. An aqueous layer will be containing less amount of organic compound. When we open it, we will remove aqueous layer and we will again do the same process with the pure solvent layer, and this solvent layer plus organic compound will be distilled as a common distillation. We will repeat this, and after repetition of 6 to 7 times, water will be completely removed from our organic compound. So that is called differential fraction process. After that, we have our last process called chromatography. But we will study chromatography in our next lecture. Okay, now let's talk about the homework. We have to complete our homework, but before completing our homework, every single student have to read carefully every single thing starting from the purification method up to the differential extraction. There is all these diagrams present into your textbook. Refer every single lines. If you have any doubts, contact me. I will solve every single doubts. Plus, about chromatography, we are going to discuss into the next lecture. Thank you.